Standard 10, from the first flight, lesson number 5, part 1, The 100 Dresses. The author is Elbzor Esther. The author's full name is Eleonore Estes Elbzor Esther. Was born on May 9th, 1906 and died in July 15, 1988. Was an American children's author and a children's librarian. Her book, Ginger Pie, which she also created illustrations for, won the Newbery Medal. 3 of her books were Newbery Honor winners, and one was awarded the Lewis Carroll Shelf Award. Esther's books were based on her life in small town that is named Connecticut in the early 1900s. Now in this particular lesson, it's a very simple lesson that we see, but has got a very deep meaning. Usually we find it in our school days. The author gives forward is how do we judge the people around us by their money, wealth and possessions? Or is there something of more enduring value to look for in a person? So the basic of this lesson is sometimes we judge people by their outer appearance. How do they look? How much money they have? What do they possess? How many houses they have? What are the properties they are possessing? All this. But the main thing we forget is the value of the person. So the author is going to explain to us what we should consider in our life and what we must learn for our life. So let's see the forward of the lesson, from where this lesson has been taken. So on page number 63, in a write-up is given there, the Polish American community in the United States. The first Polish immigrants arrived in America in 1608, but the largest wave of Polish immigration occurred in the early 20th century. Now, Polish means people of poles, like now we have got a South Poles and North Poles. People those are going to speak the Polish language. So in America we have got a South America and North America. So people those have immigrated from one place to the other places they have gone to. So in the early 20th century they are speaking about the Polish immigrations, when more than 1 million Poles migrated to the United States. So from the Poles they have migrated to the United States. The Polish state did not exist at that time. Now in America at that time there were no Polish people, but because they have come from the Poles, they are migrated people and they have stayed in one particular place, and there they have found a new state where only these peoples are staying. So that is known as a Polish state. And the immigrants were identified according to their country of origin rather than to the ethnicity. Now ethnicity is a group of people sharing a common language or religion. So they are identified according to the origin. They were identified as Russian Poles, German Poles and Austrian Poles. Now the people those who have come from the Russia, they are known as Russian Poles. Those who came from German, they are known as German Poles, and those who came from Austria are known as Austrian Poles. But they are not the people of America. They are coming from the Poles. One of the most notable Polish American communities is in Chicago and its suburbs. Suburbs means a small town in that particular place. So Chicago is sometimes called the second largest Polish city in the world. Why? Because many of these people are staying in Chicago. So it is the second largest Polish city in the world. Next only to the Warsaw, the capital of Poland. Now the Poland, the particular place is there, its capital is Warsaw. Polish Americans were sometimes discriminated against in the United States, as were the Irish, Italians and Jews. Why they are discriminated? Means there is a difference. Like how we have got a higher people or middle class people or lower class people. In the same way in America also, they have got a discrimination of the people, and they are it is because some have come from the Irish, Italians or Jewish people. That's why. According to the United States 2000 census, according to Vasti Ganatri, 6,67,414 Americans of age 5 years and older reported Polish as the language spoken at home. Now just believe that 6 lakhs and more than that people are of the Polish peoples are there staying in America, which is about 1.4% of the people who speak languages other than English, or 0.25% of the US population. Now see, the population of America is not only of the American people, but it is people coming from outside and they are staying in that place, and that percent is 0.25% only of the people those who have come from other sides. So this also is very important to know for us, because we are going to speak about the discrimination which is going on not only in our country but also in America. So don't think that our place is only like that. We are having the caste and religion and the languages, all these barriers we have. There are barriers of languages and religions in foreign countries also. So let's see the lesson. Today, Monday, Wanda Petronsky was not in her seat, but nobody, not even Peggy and Madeline, the girls who started all the fun, noticed her absence. Usually, Wanda sat in the seat next to the last seat in the last row in room 30. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffing of feet, most roars of laughter when anything funny was said, and most mud and dirt on the floor. Now they are going to speak about Wanda Petronsky, a student in the class. So it's a Monday and the name of the student is Wanda Petronsky, and there are two other students who are very famous, Peggy and Madeline. These two girls are looking for Wanda and they have not noticed. Usually Wanda sits at the last seat where the rough boys, like some naughty boys, are sitting, and that is the room number 13. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys, naughty boys are sitting, those who are not getting good marks. And most of the scuffing of the feet means like this. Sometimes you sit in the classroom and there is a rod under your bench and you go on making noise like this, and whatever dirt is there under your feet, that you leave it in the classroom, and then you can see that so much dirt is there around you. So that was the situation of the classroom. Wanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. Venda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all, and nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. Now Venda did not sit in the corner because she was dull or because she was rough or noisy, but because she was very quiet and hardly she said anything. And nobody had ever heard her laughing out loud. How sometimes we are making ha ha ha, you make like this. But she was very quiet. Nobody. Sometimes she smiled like a crooked sort of. That was the only smile she had. Nobody knew exactly why Venda sat in that seat, unless it was because she came all the way from Boggins Heights, and her feet were usually caked with dry mud. But no one really thought much about Venda Petronsky once she sat in the corner of the room. Now, exactly we do not know why she sat there. Maybe she came from the Boggins Heights. Now why they are saying that Boggins Heights is a place where only the poor people, middle class people are staying there in America. And her feet usually caked with dry mud. Like sometimes you are walking on the road and there is a cow dung and your leg is put in that cow dung and it is nice, you break the cake. That type of legs were then it was smelling and all that. So maybe that's why she was preferably sitting behind in the classroom. The time when they thought about Venda was outside of school hours, at noon time when they were coming back to school, or in the morning early before school began, when groups of 2 or 3 or even more would be talking and laughing on their way to the schoolyard. Now actually Venda was not spoken during class, but when people started talking about her, it was outside of school hours, that is noon time or early in the morning when they were just going to begin the school. When 2 or more than that, so a group is there who is always behind Venda, going to make fun of her. Then sometimes they waited for Venda to have fun with her. It's good that you make fun, but to make fun of someone, that's not good, because it's a very negative attitude that we keep for some people. To laugh with others, to have fun with others, it's a very good communication skill. But when you laugh on someone, when you make fun of someone, then it's very bad. You cannot do like that. Sometimes it be a very critical situation for the other people also. So we need to be little more sensitive when we make some kind of fun. The next day, Tuesday, Venda was not in school either, and nobody noticed her absence again. So Tuesday also she was absent. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Mary, who sat down front with other children who got good marks and who didn't track in a whole lot of mud, did notice that Venda wasn't there. Peggy was the most popular girl in school. She was pretty, she had many pretty clothes and her hair was curly. Mary was her closest friend. The reason Peggy and Mary noticed Venda's absence was because Venda had made them late to school. They had waited and waited for Venda to have some fun with her, and she just hadn't come. They often waited for Venda Petronsky to have fun with her. Now it's a Wednesday. Peggy and Mary are waiting for Venda to come. Now who is Peggy? Now Peggy and Mary are the people, these two girls are there. they always scored good marks. And Peggy was very popular in school. Why she was very popular? She was intelligent, she was pretty, and she had many pretty clothes, and she had a curly hair. And why Maddie was famous? Because Maddie was the closest friend of Peggy. And the reason Peggy and Maddie noticed Wenda's absence because they were late to the classroom, because they were waiting outside for Wenda to come and she was not there. So they got late to the classroom. Why they waited? Because they wanted to have some fun with Wenda. Sometimes we also would like to have a kind of friends who are most intelligent in the class, who are most humorous, who are making fun, those who are good looking, those who are beautiful, or kind of things like that, little bit different than other people. But if they are poor or not so clever or dirty, then we don't like to have friendship with them. You must always see that you have good rapport with everybody, not only with those who are goody good or looking beautiful or who are most intelligent. You need to have friends, but you also don't ignore other people in the classroom. That you need to keep in mind. Wenda Petronsky, most of the children in room 13 didn't have names like that. They had names easy to say, like Thomas, Smith or Alan. There was one boy named Bounce, Willie Bounce. And people thought that was funny, but not funny in the same way that Petronsky was. Now why classroom 13 is making fun of Wenda is because of her name, Petronsky. We have got names in English like Thomas, Smith, Alan, and there was one boy named Bounce, Willie Bounce. But it's common, these are the particular surnames. How we have got Parmar, McWan, Barward, Cornelius, or Fernandez, or De Mello, De Silva, this type of, we have got a Patel, McWan, Makwana. These are the surnames. If we go to foreign countries, people will laugh at us, Parward or Patel, like that they may say. But for us, our surname gives us the value that I belong to particular community. So we have got different kinds of surnames. But here Petronsky, according to us it's a English name, but for them it's a very funny name. Wenda did not have any friends. She came to school alone and went home alone. She always wore a faded blue dress that didn't hang right. It was clean, but it looked as though it had never been ironed properly. She didn't have any friends, but a lot of girls talked to her. Sometimes they surrounded her in the schoolyard as she stood watching the little girls play hopscotch on the worn, hard ground. Now they are giving reason why she did not have friends. She came to school alone and she went home alone. She always wore a faded blue colored dress and it was not fitting her properly. It may be a little more big. It was not clean and it was not ironed properly. इस्त्री बराबर करेली नहीं हुई कारण के जूनो ड्रेस છે ગંદો છે નથી. She didn't have friends, her own friends, but she had many girls around her. Why? Because they were making fun of her. And most of the time, Wenda stood there looking at the little girls playing a game in which children hop and jump over the squares marked on the ground. It is known as hopscotch. It's a matter of outer appearance that look at her dress. It's looking dirty, and we have the mentality that dirty means poor people. Let's keep these types of thoughts away from us. Vanda, Peggy would say in a most courteous manner, as though she were talking to Miss Mason. Vanda, she said, giving one of her friends a nudge, tell us, how many dresses did you say you had hanging up in your closet? Now, sometimes Peggy would say in a most courteous, polite way of saying, Vanda, the way she was talking to Miss Mason, that was a class teacher. Giving a nudge, like that, you give a gentle push like this and say, tell me how many dresses do you have in your closet or wardrobe? It's like a tijori. આપણા ઘરે હોય છે એ પ્રમાણે. 100, Vanda would say. And Vanda also would say that I have got 100 dresses. 100, exclaimed all the little girls incredulously. And the little ones would stop playing hopscotch and listen. Incredulous means showing unwillingness to believe. You cannot believe. Why? Because she is wearing everyday blue faded dress which is not iron. And now when Peggy has asked, she said that I have got 100 dresses. Sometimes it's very difficult for you to believe when you know the truth. So it's like, really? You have got 100 dresses? That way. Yeah, 100 all lined up, said Vanda. Then her thin lips drew together in silence. She would say, yes, I have got 100 dresses, all are lined up in my closet. What are they like? All silk, I bet, said Peggy. Yeah, all silk, all colors. Velvet too? Yeah, velvet too. 100 dresses, Vanda would repeat stolidly, all lined up in my closet. Now Peggy is asking that you have got 100 dresses, all are silk, all are velvet also. She said, yes, I have got a silk, I have got velvets, and in all colors I have got 100 dresses lying up in my closet. She is showing very firm. Then they had let her go, and then before she had gone very far, they couldn't help bursting into shrieks and peals of laughter. Now, when she is moved out from that place, they for a prolonged time, for a long time they used to make a fun, ha ha ha, like that. That, oh, she is having 100 dresses, she is wearing only one dress every day, and now she is saying that I have got a silk and I have got a velvet and of all colors, then why is she not wearing? So like that, they are making fun of her by saying that. 100 dresses, obviously the only dress Vanda had was the blue one she wore every day. So why did she say she had 100? What a story! How many shoes did you say you had? 60 pairs, all lined up in my closet. Cries of exaggerated politeness greeted this, all alike. Oh no, every pair is different, all colors, all lined up. Now she is saying something that I have got 100 dresses and I have also shoes, and there are 60 pairs and all are of different colors. So these people are really very much surprised to know that she is telling a lie. Peggy, who had thought of this scheme, and Maddie, her inseparable friend, were always the last to leave. Finally, Vanda would move up the street, her eyes dull and her mouth closed, hitching her left shoulder every now and then in the funny way she had, finishing the walk to school alone. Now, Peggy and Mary would go last because they are still continuously laughing at her. And Vanda would move up to the street to go there like that, raising her like this way. Yes, I had it that way, hitching her left shoulder. Peggy was not really cruel. She protected small children from bullies. Bullies means those who use the strength or power to frighten the weaker people. And she cried for hours if she saw an animal mistreated. If anybody had said to her, "Don't you think that is a cruel way to treat Venda?" she would have been very surprised. Cruel? Why did the girl say she had 100 dresses? Anybody could tell that that was a lie. Why did she want to lie? And she wasn't just an ordinary person. Else, why did she have a name like that? Anyway, they never made her cry. Now, Peggy was not actually a cruel girl, but she always protected the small children also when other people tried to bully. And she was very good to protect animals also. But when it came to Venda and said, "You are cruel to Venda," she said, "How can I be a cruel person?" Because when she can see the reality that Venda is wearing only one particular dress that is very dull and not looking good, and she says that I have got 100 dresses, I have got 60 pairs of shoes, that she finds that Venda is telling a lie. You see, why did she say truth? The reality is that she has got only one pair of shoes and only one pair of dress. So she could not understand. Okay, she has got a very funny surname, so for that they can allow her to just go away. But because she is telling a lie, she is making fun of her. As for Maddie, this business of asking Venda every day how many dresses and how many hats and how many this and that she had was bothering her. Maddie was poor herself. She usually wore somebody's hand-me-down clothes. Thank goodness she didn't live up on Bogdan's Heights or have a funny name. Now, as a comparison, Mary also was poor. She also wore someone's worn out dress. Like sometimes supposing I have got a brother and I am wearing his shirts or his pants or my sister's dress, I can wear it. But here Mary is wearing somebody's dresses. That also, it is a secret. She is wearing Paris dresses. But her mother is good in stitching, so she makes here and there some stitch and then she is giving to Mary. So nobody can make out that these are the dresses worn by Paddy also. But she also thanks God that she is not staying in a Bogdan's Heights where the poor people or the middle class families are staying. So she said, I am at least safe for that. And also that she does not have the funny surname as Petronsky. Sometimes when Peggy was asking Venda those questions in that mocking, polite voice, Maddie felt embarrassed and studied the marbles in the palm of her hand, rolling them around and saying nothing herself. Not that she felt sorry for Venda. Exactly, she would never have paid any attention to Venda if Peggy hadn't invented the dresses game. But suppose Peggy and all the others started in on her next. She wasn't as poor as Venda, perhaps, but she was poor. Of course, she would have more sense than to say she had 100 dresses. Still, she would not like for them to begin on her. She wished Peggy would stop teasing Venda Petronsky. Now here we can see that when Peggy is making fun or mocking in a very polite way. Now how can you say that you are mocking at someone, laughing at somebody, and that also is a polite way. Sometimes we give taunts or sometimes we tell the reality or the truth in a very funny way. A bald man is going who does not have a hair and say, wow, which side your hair is flying? Now first of all he doesn't have hair on his head and then you say which side your hair is moving. So that also is a kind of mocking way or laughing, and then you criticize someone. If you know that someone is very short in stature and you say, my god, your height is like Amitabh Bachchan, he is very small, and then you say that he is like Amitabh Bachchan. So that way we make fun of people in a very gentle way. Sometimes people take it to heart and they take a very strong decision that we cannot accept for their life. So it's better that if you know to make up with the people that I am going to make fun of you, and then we are good friends, then you can say. If you are going to hurt someone, then please don't say it, because it really hurts them and they can remember for life, and they may not be able to forget or forgive you at all. Now why here when Vanda is made fun of, Maddie is not saying anything. Why? Because she herself is poor, and when Peggy is making fun of Vanda, she is having marbles and she is counting and rolling them and playing. Why? Because if she stops Peggy that you don't make fun of Vanda, next turn is Maddie's, because Maddie also is poor and she is wearing worn out dresses, and if Peggy stops making fun of Vanda, next will be her turn to make fun of. And Peggy has found this game of asking the dresses. They are saying this game now because she's giving a fun. Today, even though they had been late to school, Mary was glad she had not had to make fun of Vanda. She worked her arithmetic problems absent-mindedly. 8 times 8, let's see. She wished she had the nerve to write Peggy's note, because she knew she never would have the courage to speak right out to Peggy, to say, hey Peg, let's stop asking Vanda how many dresses she has. When she finished her arithmetic, she did start a note to Peggy. Suddenly, she paused and shuddered, trembled. She pictured herself in the schoolyard, a new target for Peggy and the girls. Peggy might ask her where she got the dress that she had on, and Mary would have to say it was one of Peggy's old ones that Maddie's mother had tried to disguise with new trimmings so no one in room 13 would recognize it. Now you see, 3 days are over, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. Vanda had not come to school, and she knows that if Vanda has not come to school, then the next target is Mary. Why? Because Patty is going to make fun of Mary. So before that, she takes the precautions that let me sit and do some work so that Peggy does not make fun of me. So she said, taking arithmetic, 8 times 8 is this much. Then she is also thinking that let me write a letter to Peggy saying that don't make fun of Vanda. But she does not have courage. Why? Because she herself is poor, and if she stops Peggy, by all means she stops making fun of Vanda, she is going to be targeted because she is wearing Peggy's dresses, and now she is giving the reason. Peggy's old one's dresses, Mary's mother had tried to disguise with the new trimmings, putting some more clippings of hair, so that nobody in the room 13 can recognize that this was the Peggy's old dress. If only Peggy would decide of her own accord to stop having fun with Vanda. Oh well, Mary ran her hand through her short blonde hair as though to push the uncomfortable thoughts away. What difference did it make? Slowly Mary tore into bits the note she had started. She was Peggy's best friend. and Peggy was the best liked girl in the whole room. Peggy could not possibly do anything that was really wrong, she thought. Now she said that I cannot say anything to Peggy. So she is thinking that how to tell her. So she is putting her hand like this, feeling uncomfortable, and she tears down that note. And what does it make a difference? Slowly she tore it and she threw it because Peggy was her best friend and best liked girl in the classroom. So she does not say anything to her. As for Wenda, she was just some girl who lived up on Boggins Heights and stood alone in the schoolyard. She scarcely ever said anything to anybody. The only time she talked was in the schoolyard about her 100 dresses. Maddie remembered her telling about one of her dresses, pale blue with colored trimmings, and she remembered another that was brilliant jungle green with a red sash. "You'd look like a Christmas tree in that," the girls had said in pretended admiration. Now they are talking about the Wenda, that she did not say much and she was staying in a Boggins Heights. The only time she was talking was when Peggy or Maddie had asked her about the 100 dresses. And she said that I have got one of the dresses like pale blue with colored trimmings, and the other one is like having a brilliant jungle of a red sash, and you look like a Christmas tree, that type of dress she is having. It is a kind of admiration. Sometimes we like to flatter people. Like now we put a butter. If you cannot say anything, please don't say. But don't simply say anything which is wrong and then they feel better. Once they know the reality, then they may not like you. So it is better not to say anything than to have the praise which is very false. Thinking about Wenda and her 100 dresses all lined up in the closet, Maddie began to wonder who was going to win the drawing and coloring contest. For girls, this contest consisted of designing dresses, and for boys of designing motorboats. Probably Peggy would win the girls' medal. Peggy drew better than anyone else in the room. At least that's what everybody thought. She could copy a picture in a magazine or some film star's head so that you could almost tell who it was. Oh, Maddie was sure Peggy would win. Well, tomorrow the teacher was going to announce the winners. Then they would know. Now the classroom situation is that, thinking about the Wenda and her 100 dresses all lined up in the closet, Maddie began to wonder the competition which is going on for the girls is a drawing competition, and for the boys it's a motorboats competition. The design, because boys usually they don't like the drawing, but they like to have the designs of like motorboats and all that, like vehicles and all that type. So Maddie is thinking that surely Peggy is going to win, because nobody in the class 13 is better than Peggy. She is the most brilliant girl, and she could exactly copy from the magazine, from the face also. She can just copy it as it is. So she says that when the teacher is going to announce the name, surely Peggy is going to be the winner. The next day it was drizzling. Drizzling means a very light rain was falling. Maddie and Peggy hurried to school under Peggy's umbrella. Naturally, on a day like this, they didn't wait for Wenda Petronsky on the corner of Oliver Street, the street that far, far away under the railroad tracks and up the hill led to Boggins Heights. Anyway, they weren't taking chances of being late today because today was important. They were going to announce the name of the winner. So they are hurried to go to school. And she is under the umbrella of Peggy because Surely Mary does not have the umbrella. Do you think Miss Mason will announce the winners today? Asked Peggy. Intelligent girl, so she is little worried, concerned about that whether I will win or somebody else is going to win this. So she said, do you think that Miss Mason is going to announce today the winner's name? Oh, I hope so. The minute we get in, said Mary. Of course you will win, Peg. Hope so, said Peggy eagerly. The minute they entered the classroom, they stopped short and gasped. They breathed deeply, like that. There were drawings all over the room, on every ledge and window sill, dazzling colors and brilliant, lavish designs, all drawn on great sheets of wrapping paper. There must have been 100 of them, all lined up. These must be the drawings for the contest. They were. Everybody stopped and whistled or murmured admiringly. Now when they entered the classroom, they could see that everywhere, the whole classroom is nicely decorated with 100 dresses, and all were on the ledge or on the windowsill. Dazzling colors, brilliant, lavish designs, and all of them are very much different. So all, either they stopped to see with the admiration, some of them whistled although, or just, oh, so nice it is. That way they were murmuring. But everybody was admiring these 100 dresses. As soon as the class had assembled, Miss Mason announced the winners. Jack Bagels had won for the boys. The name of the boys, Jack Bagels. That boy has won the motorboats competition, she said, and his design for an outboard motor was on exhibition in room number 12, along with the sketches by all the other boys. So in that room number 12, Jack Bagels had won this competition of motorboat design, and it was kept there, and they were supposed to go with other boys also. As for the girls, she said, although just 1 or 2 sketches were submitted by most, one girl and room 13 should be proud of her. This one girl actually drew 100 designs, all different and all beautiful. Now you can guess that there are only few girls, or maybe 1 or 2 girls, that one is Peggy and the other one is having 100 dresses. So these two are kept all these drawings in one particular room. Okay. In the opinion of the judges, any one of the drawings is worthy of winning the prize. Now in these 100 dresses, according to the judge, there should be only one particular person who wins the prize. But here the judges are very much astonished, surprised that how to give the prize, because all 100 dresses are very different and all are superbly drawn. I am very happy to say that Brenda Petronsky is the winner of the girls' medal. Very much surprising to know this name. Unfortunately, Wanda has been absent from school for some days and is not here to receive the applause that is due to her. કોઈ એના માટે તાળીઓ પાડવા માટે એ અત્યારે હાજર છે નહીં, કારણ કે 3 દિવસથી બિચારી છોકરી આવતી નથી. Let us hope she will be back tomorrow. Now, class, you may file around the room quietly and look at her exquisite drawings. Now, teacher is giving the order that you can walk in a line one after the another. That is a file around. And go and check this drawings, which is exquisite, very extraordinary, that you can say awesome, mind-blowing, super, fantastic, all these words you can use for her drawings. The children burst into applause, and even the boys were glad to have a chance to stamp on the floor, put their fingers in their mouths and whistle, though they were not interested in dresses. Burst into applause means suddenly you spontaneously, when you know something happened, you start clapping like that. Na? So everybody was, girls, sure they are ready to see this drawing, but even the boys, right? Because Vanda Petronsky has won this competition and only she had drawn 100 dresses and she was the winner. Look, Pat, whispered Mary. That's that blue one she told us about. Isn't it beautiful? Yes, said Peggy. And here's that green one, boy. And I thought I could draw. Now, see, they are in such an awe, like you feel like that one was she was talking about, and this one was she was talking about, that one she was talking about. They are just simply mesmerized with her drawings. And Peggy and Maddie could not say a single word like making fun of her. But today at this particular juncture they are simply filled with awe. Beautiful, superb. So like Vanda Petronsky has won the competition and all 100 dresses are only of hers and every single dress can win a prize worth of an award. So Peggy and Mary also are very much surprised to know that Vanda Petronsky is better than us. The next part we will be continuing soon. Okay? Thank you and God bless you.